Have you ever watched a YouTuber called Insp? Well, I have, and he does this series called What If Civilization Started Over? Just his version of events, of what he would want to happen if the world started over from day zero, basically. Just a fictional scenario, and I wanna try something similar, you know? So that's what we're doing here today. All credits to Insp and I think a Norwegian, because they also do a similar style thing, and I got inspired by watching their videos. So we shall get into this, shall we? Yay! Smiley face. Let's get into this. Well, no functioning kind of civilization forms until whatever time this part takes place in, where a first ever colony appears along, I think this is where the Tigris and the Euphrates would go. So, thank you. This thing is really glitching out. They would go along the Tigris and Euphrates. And these people here, from this colony, they would send out kind of, expeditions around. So, around the edge of the river, down here, and down here to this point. So, exploring most of the, what do you call it? That isn't the Arabian Sea, whatever it's called. Before exploring most of the sea here. Then they start to expand downwards a bit. Expanding along and down. This takes like so many years. Let's say, what, about 100 a century per like piece of land over here. Until about 1,000 years after this colony starts, they set up this area down here. They also expand up here, by the way. Let's just fill that in. And boom, they've expanded. So then what they do is they send even more people down, and they get to here. And this is where they stop their first big old expedition. So they continue to expand, and they grab this land down here. While this is happening, they also wanted to go down here, so they do the exact same thing, just on the other side. This takes still many years before they end up here. Now, this was the first ever country. From here, they continue to send out explorers from both these points. They go round here. These explorers go round here, go down before not being able to get past this point. Whereas these explorers, they continue to explore, and they come across a group of people. Actually, let's make it purple, shall we? Actually, nah, let's make it light pink. The light pink people, which is a separate, differently functioning kind of tribe that lives over here. They start some sort of diplomatic relationships across this area here. While that is happening, these people over here, this red team here, which I'm going to call them for now, hold on, let me find the colours that I want. Yep, there we go. Red team sends people down here, and they just carry on sending people down until they could get past this point. And at some point, their population starts to go down, because, obviously, they're wasting all these men going down here. So at some point, the men that gets down here towards the point, which is unpassable to most people, they decide, sure, let's just set up our own colony and stop Red from sending any more of us. And they set up Blue Team down here. This is a larger, not large, it's the same kind of size. And instead of trying to go through this area, they just start exploring up. So, slowly, they discover most of this deserty, arid region over here. This team over here, they don't really do much, mostly. They just kind of sit there. But they do, with Red Team's help, end up exploring most of this area. But it's a really long trek from Red Team all the way over there, so that's about it. That's the end of their communications over there. Over here, Red Team will continue to expand along the coast, finally making it to this point, which is, I think, what is this point called? I think Oman, the Sea of Oman, I don't know. Blue Team also decides to expand, but tries to expand up, seeing they don't fully know where the Red Team borders start in this area, they think red team is more up here, and they're wondering if there's a river that they can get to, so they continue to expand up. While they're doing this, red team begins to expand down, and they make first contact over here. So, blue team claims all this area, red team has all of that. They make first contact, and red team didn't really, well, they knew that there was some sort of nation taking all their people, but they didn't know it was a group of their same kind of people. So what they do is they start a war, and they put it on religious grounds of them kidnapping their people. So they start by slowly invading into the more deserty areas over here, the blue team, before the actual army of the red team, which is all currently up in this northern area up here, decides, okay, we also got to come help for our nation, and they start pushing around the coast. So they go here, and they do a bit of strategy where they just live off the land as they invade. They don't have to take any kind of supplies with them, because they basically just blitz through the farmland there. Blue team, not willing to give up, does a little maneuver with their tiny army into red team territory, which continues for them, and they push and they cut off this part of red team from the big army, which is currently over here. So the red team notices this and they decide, crap. They all backtrack and they go to actually fending off this bit ahead. And while this is going on, blue is able to capture back. They capture like up to here. From here, red team continues battering before they finally meet up here and break the blue lines. These people are killed and the blue team retreat. Red team takes over this area, and then they continue their push into blue team regions, pushing back yet again all the way down to here. At this point, blue team decides to give up. So blue team sits down at some sort of negotiation table and says to red even, okay, fine, but we are not giving you our sovereignty. You can have this land. So this kind of peace deal is divided up. Yeah, so this kind of peace deal is divided up between the two of them, where blue gets slightly smaller, but blue doesn't really care about, well, whatever red is doing over there, because they have infinite kind of land, well, at least to their knowledge, in this direction. So, boom, and then they realise they get to this point again, which is currently unpassable. So they don't really move much from this point. And while this is happening, red team up here decides to set up the first ever what we would call capital city, which I'm going to put directly up here where their original large thing is. Around this time, also their friend over in pink also set up a capital city before this city, country even, finally sets up a capital city over there. Talking about this country down here, they are also doing some sort of exploring, but they explore more in towards the Himalayas than around the coast, like the red team does. So they start to expand, as can be told by their little pink trail starting. Oh, this is not good. Come on, layer. They start to explore, and they explore up and down the coast before settling on these kind of borders, which are good for them because they don't have to look over too many people, and they get decent enough area to live in. Talking about that, red team is back on the grind set. Red is a very large team and will expand quite a lot, doing especially these early episodes. So they expand around this corner here. This is around what we're getting. This is like near 5,000 years after the first thing, after the first was created. And this time, the blue team. Well, news comes from the blue team that they've finally been able to get past this point. And they continue adventuring to this, and this is where first contact with Africa is. Blue team sends out a bunch of troops, and they set up a little colony over here. Hold on, wrong layer. yeah, over here. Basically claiming this area for their own. Red team is like, hey, we also want part of this new continent. But they can't really just venture straight across here, because all of this part here, if it wants to work, yeah, all of, like, this part here is desert. So red team can't do that. The only way through is to kind of follow blue team, or they could look for more fertile land or more usable land in the north. So it's one of the two. While they're trying to figure that part out, blue team is busy expanding up their territory and connects up to these people over here. Now, currently blue team I think is larger than the red team, and red team is gonna try and challenge blue for that by directly expanding over to the border of their one friend, the pink team. Now these guys are very good friends, these two teams, which is very good for them, I guess. So they decide to have this kind of border here along this. And what red team does decide to do is to find out if there's any more people out there, you know. So they start to adventure up here through this land before they reach the coast up here. Lovely, the red team thinks. So they send people up here, up through, I think this is more desert really. So it's just going to be a few people who come up here. And for the second time in the red team's life, they're going to break away and they're going to form their own little nation, just kept around this kind of land. Now, while this was all happening, red team has been expanding themselves, and this time they have like they're small cities now. So one here, one on this point here, and one over here. The blue team also has one small city all the way over here. That's it. Purple team has its own. Pink team even has its own small city down here. Green team doesn't even have a capital yet. Well, let's just do that, and boom, green team now has a capital. Green team will continue to expand back where it came from to let red know of its existence, which just hits red as soon as they start to expand downwards. Red team gets very angry because this is the second time this has ever happened to them. So they send up more troops, and this time they start actually colonising as they go along. They actually start colonising larger parts of lands than they would have normally, because while they want to keep their land really populous, they also decide to block blue team from expanding upwards over here, because they hate blue team for some reason. Blue team doesn't really care, as they found out there is also nice land all the way up here. So what they do, blue team, is they just move up, and this time they claim all of this. Even though they don't actually inhabit most of this, they claim this kind of land. So disputed territories is there, and technically they slowly are advancing into this area. They finally made it in here, and this is where they kind of stop exploring, because back up here, red team has now sent out some troops all the way to attack green. These troops make first contact with green here, and a massive battle occurs and starts taking this part over. They continue to kind of spearhead their way throughout the country before they come to this part here. They cross over whatever that part is there, and they take one half of the country all for themselves. Green team here, as ex-red team members, are not happy about this, and instead of deciding to attack, because you can't really match the power of red team at the moment, they decide to just continue looking up, eventually finding the outline of this sea here. So they basically have figured out what this sea is. So what they decide to do, being a big smart guy, is they just kind of adventure around here and claim all this land. While they were busy doing that, red team has another huge thing. It's got another huge city, which is a major achievement, because this one is on the, I think it's going to be over here. And along with that, blue team has also propped up another major city over here. everything's along the coast here. So there's purple team, which is right here, just so we all are aware. So back to this war. Red team continues their advancing before reaching the capital up here. The capital is captured really quickly. They capture the capital really quickly, and this part falls to red team. The red team can't really reach that area, so what they have to do is do a rush colonial exercise or expansion effort into this kind of northern area. So what happens is they have to sit down with a peace deal with green team. What happens here is green team kind of just claims they want this part back. Red team takes all of this, plus they expand actually into green team's previous claims. Now red team is very big. You know what happens when a country gets too big? Breaking apart. So what's going to happen here is there's going to be a... Wow, I'm just going to make it orange actually. Orange team is actually going to break away. It's going to be this side of the red team over here. Breaking off all of this land. They are funded by blue team over here. So it's them and blue team basically versus red team. And this war for independence will kick off with this massive... Well, this area was always going to be orange. Was always part of its own separate provinces. Whereas up here, this has just been claimed by orange. So orange starts to push up. They start to push up into red team. Eventually hitting kind of this point here. This front here. And just saying, red, do you want peace? I know you're currently... Well, this is the same time they're fighting green. So they're like, red, you're fighting green. Do you want peace? No, not the same time, but like immediately afterwards, they're still moving all their army back down, like through here. Yeah, so they're like, red, do you want peace? And red is like, fine, but on our own terms. So they just want all of this kind of north, like this area still, and orange can have the rest of that. Meaning they also get their own capital, which is one of their two major cities, going to be this one right there. Okay, so immediately after that, blue finally gets to work and boom, they are starting to expand into their claimed territory. And because they're actually good friends with orange, they are also letting orange join in with these efforts. Meaning orange also has a really large piece of land. Just out in the middle of the desert, which, you know, you can't do much with, but it looks cool on the map, which they do not have access to. Boom. They expand up. Look at that. Look at this big, beautiful blue. And blue actually, funnily enough, continues to expand through the side of the ocean, hitting this corner up here. Orange kind of has another little colonization effort going down here, claiming all this area. And lovely, look how beautiful our borders are. Oh dear. So this entire side of blue team broke off. Funded by, guess who? The red team. Don't worry, blue team has a plan. They immediately push in, and they also decide to strengthen their offense. They kind of have to occupy some of orange team. Sorry, orange. Well, not sorry. They're friends with orange, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, they occupy most of this area. This area is all kind of nothing still. So it's really just this kind of northern area which they have to quickly push through. Orange team also joins in on their own kind of front up here. They kind of link up to purple team, as they hate anything to do with red team because they broke off for religious reasons, I'm going to say. They also decide to push out through the very open desert before capturing most of this side of this team, and they also end up storming the one major city they have, and this thing completely falls to these two teams. The kind of peace deal that they decide to work out is blue team will get all of this back, so all that, while this team there hold on, gets all of this, and they also get claims over this land up here. Oh yeah, our best friend Pink. Pink has now finally decided to get into the expanding game, and is now actually slightly large. It's expanding all over the place, basically. And we love the Pink team here, so I don't know, Pink team's just slaying out here. Slaying so hard out here. They're trying and slaying so hard. There's a few... Now, there's boats. And really small vessels that can carry like 3 or 4 people at a time. Going between this city and this city. And at some point between these two cities, Orange decides, you know what, because we've actually got Navy, and Red team for some reason does not, we're going to try and make a naval landing right here in this point, and they start advancing towards this major city, capturing it. Red team's like, bro, what the heck, we gave you independence. But Orange team does not really care, starts rapidly expanding through this kind of lesser used area of Red team. Sure, there's 2 major cities here, but what can Red do? This pot's now cut off, and Pink team decides to send up troops to help Red. Red immediately captures all this back, and Orange realises they're in trouble when Red makes a landing on their peninsula. Before pushing down the peninsula, Orange team's like, okay, we give up. They give up, except one little tiny border adjustment. Red team now claims all of this area. Hold on, let me get a very nice little smooth border here. Plus, Red team will now officially be allowed to claim, hold on, all the land out here. They immediately send out efforts to colonise that land. So all around here, I don't really know the geography of this region very well, that's why it makes no sense, because I know there's a massive desert here, but I'm just pretending they're advanced enough to do this. Major city time. So this team will put a major city up here, or get a new major city up there. They'll also get a major city on this island they directly are across from. Red team will get 1 major city there, 1 major city there, and a major city right next to the purple one. Purple team will get 1 over here, and 1 in like this corner of their empire. And green team, who's been neglected, will get 1 major city up there and 1 major city up there. And boom, it's time to expand a tiny weeny bit more, everyone, just for today. Green will do 1 last little expansion effort. We'll go all the way around here, and we'll end up getting a sizable piece of land. This is like the max that they can claim without being fully defaulting into death, basically. And boom, episode 1 is done. Look at that beautiful map. We've got so much more to cover, but if you like this video, like the video. As I do this outro, we're going to slowly expand some more things as some countries discover some stuff. Yeah, anyway, please, guys, like the video if you want to see more of this, because I will gladly do, do episode 2. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.